This is something I've been looking forward to for a really long time. We are going to have a panel of students from both Appalachian State University and Ferris State University. So we are joined today by Kathrine Bishop, who is a senior instructor at Appalachian State University. And I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly. But we also, I want to bring up everybody's last names because I just wrote down first names here really quickly. But we have two students from Ferris State University, Faith Robinson and Emalyn Nelson. You all can turn your screens on, please, and unmute yourselves. And then we have Kathrine Francisco and Kasey Musaka from Appalachian State. I apologize if I mispronounced anyone's names, but this is a really important conversation. I hope some of you were on Sheila's session with the Canadian panel earlier today. But we have a lot to cover and we don't have a ton of time. So this is going to move, it's going to need to move relatively quickly. So I'm going to just start. Everyone is going to introduce themselves, tell us what they're studying, what you want to do when you graduate, and what drew you to print and graphic communication. So just simply roll call, chicka-boom, cha-cha, chicka-boom, right? So I'm going to start with Emalyn. Who you are, what you're studying, what you want to do, and what drew you to print.
Alrighty, I am Emalyn Nelson. I am from the great state of Michigan. Um, Go Dogs! I go to Ferris State University in the graphic media management program. We study printing and we are in the College of Business. So we get business management and all that sort of experience. I was drawn to print because I took a program in my high school tech center and I have never looked back. I call this industry my home for many reasons, and that is definitely where it started in high school. So
Amazing. And you have any idea kind of what element of print you want to go into when you graduate? Do you want to do
I
sales?
have
Do you want to
been
do
looking.
production?
I've been looking at sales, leaning towards equipment sales. I really like the travel aspect of going to D-Scoop and Printing United and all those Drupa, all that kind of stuff. So if there's any sort of travel aspect and something like that, I would love to be in that role.
Excellent. Awesome. Emalyn, thank you so much for being here. Faith, let's hear from you. Same questions.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Faith Robinson. I am also a senior at Ferris State University studying graphic media management. I got into print through my high school. I was very fortunate in that my high school has a built-in graphics program, amazing group there. And I've also never looked back. I fell in love with it. It's just been amazing. I'm drawn to the kind of the blend of art and technology. I love learning about all the different print processes. I love learning about machines and presses, and I love seeing all the really cool options that are available now for finishing, embellishing, all that other stuff. I also manage our print lab here at Ferris State University. We are entirely student staffed, and I've been the manager now for the past 2 years. And I'm kind of also looking to go into equipment, but more on the training end. I love being able to like guide people on what the on problem solving, on the best course of action for like installing or troubleshooting, something along those lines. And I also love the travel in the community.
Amazing. I hope our sponsors are listening because, a lot of the major manufacturers are big sponsors of Girls Who Print. So there's going to be some connections that we can help you both with there, which is super exciting. Kasey, hello there. Let's hear from you.
Hi everyone, my name's Kasey and I'm currently an intern at AlphaGraphics in South Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now I'm seeking my role to be in wide format printing. I want to be a specialist, get the hands-on work, and that's kind of what drew me. I found out about the printing industry in college and I loved all the hands-on precise work and just getting into the lab. It was my favorite thing to do and I miss it so much.
Yeah, that hands-on. That's really great. Kasey, thank you so much for being here. And finally, before we get to Kay, Kathrine, tell us about yourself.
Uh, Hello, my name is Kathrine Francisco, and I'm studying in graphic communications management at Appalachian State University. The role I'm seeking is more innovative and creative side, so more in the print and packaging. I got into print and graphic communications during my college year as well. I enjoy the process of design, both graphic and structures, and the printing process and everything.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And Kay, we know you are an instructor at Appalachian State. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you came to that role and what you love about print.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Kay Bishop, and I'm the senior lecturer at the Graphic Communications Management program at App State. And I've been teaching in this program for 10 years now. My background is in graphic design. So I worked in editorial publishing, and I still do freelance graphic design and publishing. So I came it through the graphic design route. I've taught some courses in like introduction to graphic design, as well as classes like digital media composition in graphic communications, and also web development, also introduction to graphic communications, and then client collaboration where students actually work with local clients to produce products. So I love
Awesome.
working with students, love Kathrine and Kasey, glad to see them here.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Thank you for the work that you do, because teachers are everywhere the most amazing and so important and so impactful. So we so much appreciate your contributions. So I'm going to throw this out there, and you guys can just like kind of put your hand up if you have an answer. This, what I'm really curious about is, are you following anybody's careers? Is there anybody that you kind of look up to and admire in or out of print, and why? Does anybody have an answer there? Go ahead, Emalyn.
I admire my mom a lot. She works in conference sales and catering at a casino in my hometown. And she just follows everything in stride and just doesn't let anything get in her way, which definitely I look up to a lot. And she's shaped me into who I am, of course. But she just takes every day with kindness and control. And like I said, nothing gets in her way. So I definitely look up to her in that aspect, as well as just how she handles her day-to-day life and how she takes everything in stride, like I said.
That's awesome. And Mom, this is being recorded. You get to watch her say nice things about you later, which will carry you through some times, right? That's amazing. Who else? Who else has somebody they want to talk about? Go ahead, Faith.
I have a couple. The first one that I thought of was kind of all of my graphics professors. I've had some really amazing mentors that I kind of hope to embody their passion towards helping other people and their passion for the graphic arts education. Having had such a great experience with my graphic arts education has made me want to kind of pay that forward to people in my own career. And then we've been to D-Scoop a couple of times with Ferris State University, and we've met Rosemary, who is very involved with that community. And I love seeing her involvement, her energy. She's come a long way, and she's very much like, she's not afraid to speak up and be out there. And that's something that I hope to kind of achieve in my own career as well.
Yeah, her on that stage at D-Scoop with, talking to literally thousands of people. I know many of you have been to D-Scoop before, so that's such a great experience and such a way for you to really see kind of how the industry meets the broader world. So that's fantastic. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about with regard to careers they're following? Okay, we can move on then. So, oh, go ahead, Kathrine. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would like to say about my past professor who is no longer there, but Mandy Wu, she is our used to be a professor in Appalachian State University. I loved how she understands her and the printing industry and inspires me to think outside the box when creating projects and like the merchandising display in our class. She helped me think technically and thinking more how to make things better. So it really inspires me to be more creative and thinking out more innovative.
That's awesome. I mean, the instructors, I think, are such an important conduit between the students and the industry. I hope everybody out there is listening to this and saying that, like, I need to find the closest school, whether it's a high school or a college and university that is teaching graphic arts, and get involved, right? I just did a presentation at a middle school, 8th grade career fair on the printing industry. And I had a packed room for all 3 sessions. And the parents asked a ton of questions about the industry and how big it is and things like that. So the instructors are just so very important to, again, to kind of telling you all what it's like to work in the industry. And I'm sure you can all remember the first time you walked into a plant. I hope they've taken you to plants so that you can actually see that equipment running, and it can be very awe-inspiring. It's really incredible. So thank you so much for all of that. So let's talk for a minute, and I'll call on you individually for this one. A moment when you felt especially proud of your work or your creative process. Kasey, let's start with you.
So, mine was actually from this past semester in the fall, and that's really when I felt the most immersed in the program at App State. I created these Pantone business swatch cards, that I ended up taking to the PICA Fall Management Conference, which is where I met Kelly and got into Girls Who Print. It was such a gratifying moment because I was handing them out to everybody and everyone loved them. And it was so, again, gratifying to see my work be so appreciated by industry leaders. And I had designed them, I created them, I binded them, printed them, I did everything for them. And it was such like a quick project that like I never would have thought ever to make until that moment.
She's being a little modest, and I'm a hype girl, okay? But we freaked out when we saw those. Like, this was at the PICA Fall Management Conference, and yes, every single person who saw them was just freaked out. So Kasey, that was a really great moment. Congratulations on that project, and your work was amazing. Faith, how about you?
Yeah, mine actually is also pretty recent from this past semester. So being in my role in the print lab, I have the opportunity to work on a lot of design work and full production for a lot of our projects. And this year we decided to do some outreach to prospective students to kind of try to build our program. And so I ended up kind of being in the lead for our whole project there. So we did a fully custom variable data mailer that had a really cool fold pattern. I wish I had one on hand, but it like folded in and then out, and again, it was a complicated fold. And then we also made a fully custom envelope, and we made and distributed those. And I did all the design work, all the production work. And then once those had all been sent out, I eventually found out that someone received it and actually reached out specifically to my professor to say how cool it was, essentially. And so that made me feel really amazing that I was able to kind of inspire someone to look deeper into our program. I take a lot of pride in our program. And so anything I can do to help us expand, help us grow and get our numbers up is really, really rewarding.
And I believe a lot of your students, possibly yourself included, won awards at the GMA Awards not too long ago, correct?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you won some. I know, Emalyn, you won some as well. Emalyn, why don't you go ahead?
First, I just want to say that Faith's mailer was the coolest mailer I've ever seen. She's definitely being modest on that one as well. I would say my biggest award, I would say, was my business card. I have a die cut and foil business card that I designed myself. It's pretty basic if you just look at it, but it was kind of a lot of work to get our flatbed cutter to work properly and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of trial and tribulation, but I love my business card a lot, and I take a lot of pride in that for sure.
Amazing. Kathrine, how about you?
So, one project that I've been very really grabbed my most attention was when I have to do a career connection, which is an event for recruiters to come to our school and, try to interview with students. And I made a character named Ginger. He is a graphic GCM mascot that I've made 2 years ago. And then I came up with the ideas why can't I make this mascot into a little figurine? So, I have an example. I've created this Ginger out of folding cartons, and I've gone through 11 trials trying to get this figurine, and I've created 30 of these figurines for the recruiters, and out of folding carton, and it was most rewarding I've ever felt in my process here. And
amazing. That's beautiful work. Imagine if we distributed those all over the world, and then there could be this campaign to take pictures of him in front of the pyramids and have him get pictures with Ginger all over the world. That's fantastic work, Kathrine. Thank you so much for sharing that. Kay, I want to turn to you for a second. Because your work and the work of all of your colleagues all over the world who are teaching graphic communications is just so very vital to the very future and survival of our industry, for sure. So what guidance can you offer students as they prepare to move from education to the professional world?
Well, first of all, I just want to say how proud I am of these students. I feel like a proud parent moment here, just seeing, because I've seen them in the lab, like Kathrine working on the packaging for the career connections, and Kasey with the swatch book that she did in my class, but they did it all themselves. Like it was totally their concept and they produced it, they problem solved. Like I just love students where we just throw them in the lab and they just go for it. And so as they're transitioning, because I know has already kind of transitioned and Kathrine is transitioning at the end of the semester, I would say really work on, and they're already so great. So I feel like they're already the model students, but I would say like really working on being the person that you want to work with. I always tell my students, because I think you can get so focused on the projects and the resume and the portfolio, that if I have two really strong resumes and portfolios, but one person seems difficult to work with, I would much rather choose the person who's easier to work with. So just be the person that everybody wants to work with, be the person that you want to work with. And I think that just a person's character, being able to trust and depend someone, like knowing they're going to meet the deadlines, they're going to get the job done, and they're going to do an excellent job. I think that's really important. And also just being someone that's kind and nice, like that I think goes a long way. So I think your character really trumps a lot of other things. So it doesn't matter how great your portfolio or resume is, you want to be someone who's easy to work with. That kind of flows into the next one, which is be teachable. And I know that a lot of students, they've learned so much, but once they start work, there's going to be new technologies and new applications that they don't know. So like find a mentor or someone that you can ask questions to who can help guide you through that. I remember when I was in publishing and we transitioned from offset printing to digital, and I didn't have to run separations anymore, which was nice. But then I also remember just having to make that transition and learn new software, like moving from Quark Express. I don't know if anyone remembers Quark Express in here. And then I had to totally learn a new program right when Adobe InDesign came out. And nobody uses Quark Express anymore. So there's always new technology. So just being willing to learn new things, being flexible and trying different equipment. And I think that employers really will, even though you might have a specific skill set, like you think you're going to go in this one area, but if you try other areas, it might be that you could be a good fit and be able to like hop into other roles and work with different equipment and technologies as well. So, and then the last two, I'll try to make it quick, is being a hard worker. Of course, everybody knows, but my mentor always said this, to under promise and over deliver, so that, and I know you can't always choose what to commit to, but if you can focus on the few commitments and responsibilities and tasks that you have, but just go above and beyond on those tasks and just always give a little bit more than is expected rather than trying to do everything, and because you're not going to be able to do everything well. So focus on the tasks that you do have and give them a little bit more than they expect. And then just commit to people and relationships too, because I know it's harder to meet people and make friends from going to college to work. So I remember when I started working, I had my lunchtime buddies, and I got to know people that way. So I actually met my husband. But then also outside of work, having that good work-life balance and finding something outside of work that you're passionate about that you can serve in. Like I got involved in my church community, but also got to know people at work through lunch or through events that the company might have. Getting to know what your company culture is. But yeah, so those were some things that stuck out for me.
And that was all just unbelievably helpful. So thank you so much. And again, all of y'all, it's recorded, so you can go back and watch all that brilliance that Kay just gave us. And the one thing I did just want to say, Kay, about what you said is I celebrate so much that this generation of people has been raised with growth mindset, right? it's that not yet, like I haven't learned it yet, but I still can. The world is open to me. I, grew up in the 70s where it was just like, you're either this or that, and I've had to cultivate growth mindset as an older person, which is really wonderful. So the fact that you can embrace that notion of like, oh, here's a new technology, I just don't understand it yet, is so very important. So Kay, thank you so much for all that wisdom. So let's move into really what is the theme of this event. And for those of you that have been with us all day, you understand, this is really about your entire career and how you make moves and things like that. So let's talk about making your move. What does it mean to you as you prepare for your next step, whether, most of you are graduating soon or, things like that. So Kathrine, let's start with you. What does making your move kind of as you're from where you are today and where you're going to go next? What does that mean to you?
I feel like for making my move is to take on positions and create designs that are more detailed and portraying meaning. So trying to give in like what the customers want, like trying to meet their visions, also portraying it through package and designs.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Emalyn, what about you? What's on your mind with making a move?
Making my move would be definitely reaching my goals in some aspect and making sure nothing gets in my way or holds me back. So if I want something, I'm gonna go after it for sure and not let anything hold me back or stop me from that goal. So
Yeah. Now, Emalyn, are you a senior?
yes.
Okay. I hope everyone is paying attention to which of these fine folks are graduating soon and will be looking for work. So that is fantastic. Faith, what about you?
For me, in my current kind of career, it's definitely about making the most of every opportunity that I have. As a student, I'm kind of in a unique spot where I have kind of a lot of options open to me. And to me, making my move is making the most of every single one of those opportunities, getting as much as I can and also giving as much as I can and gaining as much experience as possible.
Yeah, so good. So good. Because I mean, it can be hard to know if you're again, if I've always said this, and I was at another industry event a few years ago, said like our goal, the Girls Who Print goal and the print community's goal is for all of you to be fielding multiple offers like your NBA draft picks. Like this is what we want for you all to find a work home that fosters your most amazing potential. So that's, and again, we all have a role to play in that with you and for you. So just always remember that. Kasey, what about you?
So something that I've been learning a lot in my current internship is forward thinking, which I never really thought about before. So it's all about, it's not just this job that needs to go out at this moment. It's about how can we make the process efficient and effective in a way where everyone benefits and, mistakes can be caught sooner if we're all looking out for each other.
Yeah, and that requires everybody to have an open mind, doesn't it? So the
Yes.
the employers and the colleagues that you have, I mean, it's one thing, as a very proud Gen Xer, I am raising two Gen Zs and I have two Gen Alphas too. I had my kids older, and the fact that my kids will correct my behavior, they will give me feedback that has not been asked for, right? But I think that my experience of you all and your generation is that you have a voice. It is almost as if you were born knowing or you were raised knowing that your opinions matter and that your ideas are welcomed. And so finding a work home that celebrates that and is open to that is really important. And that's kind of the work that we're doing on the company culture side to get these folks ready for you all, is to make sure that, they are ready to change, right? They're ready to stop with the way we do it is the way we've always done it, and that's why we do it. Right. So that's all, those are all really great answers. So let's talk about some skills or experiences that you want that might help you. And I know, again, many of you have been to D-Scoop and those events are super important, but let's talk about, and Kasey, let's start with you. Is there anything specific with regard to a skill or an experience that you need or that you really want to take you to the next level?
I think for me right now in my career, I need to learn more about print itself, how the machines operate, what to do post-production. In order for me in the future to possibly have an office position, I want to feel confident in my knowledge of production in order to have that kind of position in the future.
Yeah. Well, and remember, I don't know if you were here at the very beginning, but there's a statistic that Deborah shared that, men only need to be 60% qualified to apply for a job, whereas a woman will think that they have to be almost 100% qualified for something. Mm-hmm. So many of the women that are on this call right now will attest. I did not know one single thing about printing when I went and started selling printing. Not one single thing. I did not understand the difference between CMYK and RGB. This was back in the early 90s where, when Kay was talking about cork, I was like, what's cork? Right? So you will learn it on the job, right? I just think that's super important. Emalyn, what about you?
I would say being more in an office setting. I did one internship this past summer that did get me some good office experience as far as being in a print company, but it didn't give me everything I think I need to be successful in an office setting and in a sales setting. I kind of fell into a position with a different coworker that was on a sabbatical. So it didn't give me everything I wanted. So I would say that. And also, there is a company that I wanted to work for since I was 14. And I'm not going to share the company, but I have been accepted to work for them in the fall. So for a short time. So I'm excited for that. And I think that experience will help me a lot and build my resume up for sure.
Absolutely. And just remember, the mentorship program is here to support you with regard to that. Because again, there's probably a lot of people on this call that can attest to the fact that my experience of every print shop I've worked in, it's almost like there's two completely different components. It's almost like a restaurant, right? Front of house and back of house. The office is completely different from the manufacturing floor, which makes it a really, really cool, a cool place to work. But no, that's Emalyn, that's really great. And also the fact that you have manifested a dream since you were 14 is brings a tear to my eye. That's fantastic. So
I will be posting
congratulations.
it on LinkedIn. I'm going to take some pictures and announce it after D-Scoop. So look out for that.
Yes. Faith, what about you?
Mine is definitely more of a skill that I'm working towards, and that is definitely being more assertive and kind of speaking up. I'm kind of naturally a more soft-spoken, quiet person. I kind of keep to myself a lot. And part of my journey as a student in print and being able to represent my school and go to all these events and even now mentor younger classes, I definitely have been building that up. I've come a long way from when I was a freshman just starting out, but it is something that I am looking to keep on improving as I enter my career.
So great. Being assertive, kind of that, you heard Sarah Ohanneson say, I am one of the preeminent speakers, right? Like that confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. It's so inspiring. So Kathrine, what about you? Or did I start with you? No, I didn't start with you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Mine is both on experience and skills. For experience, I also follow back to what Kasey said, was to be more open on the workflow, trying to learn how things process from client's job, client works to printing to the very last end of how to ship the mailing to them. And for skills wise, I want to be able to be more collaborative, try to speak up my ideas, trying to make them more up there. So it's more this is more innovative, giving more different perspective and having seen new things in a way.
Yeah. There are going to be a lot of women on this call and people on this call who've left a meeting going, I didn't say the thing, right? I can tell you 50 times that I left a meeting going, I have no idea what I was afraid of, right? I don't know. It's, so yes, I want all of you to step into that. There are no stupid ideas. There are no stupid questions. And if anybody ever makes you feel that way, it's time to question, what room you're in. So that, that ability to be curious, that stay curious mentality, and that your ideas are needed. Your ideas are very, very needed. So thank you all for that very much. Let's talk about, we've definitely talked about taking steps, right? So we know that many of you are graduating, and we really do want to talk about focusing on whatever the next step is. And this is very specific and it's very tactical because there's a lot of other students that are going to come in contact with this content that might want to think about, well, what do I do? Like, so Emalyn, can you just share, it sounds to me like you've got a pretty solid, plan in place. What are some of the next steps you're going to be taking?
So obviously, like you mentioned, graduation and just finishing that strong, hopefully keeping the grades where they should be, and walking across that stage definitely is my next step. But like I said, getting more business experience. Ferris teaches us a lot on the business side, but getting like actual hands-on in a company is definitely something that I'm looking for. So
Yeah, great. Yeah, just the graduation piece is really big. I love that finish strong kind of, you're not checking out between now and May, right? What
well, a
about you,
little bit,
Kasey?
but it's spring break right now. I'm a little checked out, but
Oh, there you
high
go.
school will
Okay.
lock back in.
Yes, for sure. What about you, Kasey?
I think my answer is a little bit more vague, but it's truly to learn. The learning never stops. And that's a lifelong lesson that I learned in college. Like, once college stops, you don't just stop learning. You always are learning every single day. Um, and expanding your mind to knowledge, I think, is never a negative thing, because to learn is to really understand.
Yeah, so true. And you're absolutely right. There is no end to the learning. I mean, I can say after 32 years, I still learn things. I'm still getting my hands around how big this industry is. There is not a day goes by that I don't hear of a company I didn't know existed or a school that is teaching graphic communications that I didn't know about. So that expansive mindset, Kasey, is so very important. So thank you for that. Faith, what about you?
Mine kind of ties back into what I was kind of talking about earlier with making the most of all my experiences and all my connections. So I've been kind of reaching out to some of the people I've met at trade shows and even at just local events that we've done. We go and tour a lot of local printing plants in Michigan, kind of both near us and just around the state in general. So I've been kind of, again, reaching out to everybody who I kind of have met and kind of asking like what availability they might have. And even just asking for career advice, because I've met so many people who have just been like, reach out if you need any career advice or something like that. And I love just talking shop with people. So it's kind of been a balance of looking for work and also looking for some mentorship as I look to graduate.
Yeah, and the offer too is to let them pick your brains, right? Most printing shop owners and senior level executives that I've talked to recently, they need to understand more about your motivations. I heard many of you talk about wanting to travel. I've heard many of you talk about wanting a seat at the table and things like that, right? The mindset of what we need to offer as an industry is very different today than it was in the 90s, when I got started. So it's a two-way street of getting that career advice from those people that you're meeting, Faith, and also making that offer. Like, pick my brain, right? I'm a young person that's about to go into this industry. What do you want to know? Right? That's really great. Kathrine, what about you?
So, goose for like to step forward on focusing on my next like move. After graduating, I'll go straight to like internships, and I want to be able to learn from them, like seeing, hearing, and new perspective ideas from them. Also, incorporating into my own ideas as well, and also learning different like how things work around them as well. And
Yeah,
like what Kasey said, just keep learning and all the throughout like the workflows and work fields, and also having more time to maybe also go abroad, trying to see any new innovations, new ideas from different people.
definitely. That's so great. And you're also a senior?
Yes.
Yeah, you're a senior. Okay. Great. And now, do seniors at App State do their internships after graduation, or do they do them during school as well?
There are we have to do two internships.
Got it.
So for junior internships, and then we have a senior internships, and usually a lot of seniors start getting internships for their last internships after they graduate.
Okay, great. And for all of you out there watching this later, the vast majority of these programs require the students to get internships, and they help them somewhat. Some of the schools help more than others, but just know that there is There are probably thousands of students in graphic communications programs in this country right now who need internships. And our industry does not have a mechanism to manage that on a broad scale. So be open to the idea of giving one of these kids an internship opportunity, or at the high school level, it's work-based learning opportunities. I'm trying to help the school here. It's very difficult to find a printing company that will allow high school students in to learn. So we all need to be a little more open and a little more expansive about granting those opportunities for young people. So I know we've got about 10 minutes left, and I really want to make the most of this. So I'm going to jump ahead because I have had so many questions here. I really want us to have fun with this last question. So it's 5 years from now, Emalyn. It is, I can't do math, 2031. What do you want to be known for with regard to your impact? Or is it more of like, do you want to be known creatively, professionally, personally, impact? Like, tell me what you want in 5 years.
First of all, 2031 sounds wrong. Us graduating in 2026 felt wrong when I was a high school senior, so that just is really interesting. But as I've mentioned before, knowing that nothing got in my way, and I took everything in stride and did the best I could and lived my full potential, for sure. Ferris, like I said, has taught us a lot, and we are nationally recognized for how good our program is. And knowing that I am serving our program well and making it my professors and my colleagues proud in what we've all done together and separately, and making sure that I am the best me that I could be.
I love that. Thank you so much. Kasey, what about you? We're getting in the time traveling machine. It's 2031.
So something that I really looked up to when I was a student was all of the guest speakers that came and talked to the students, because that's the future, right? Whenever you talk to the students, you're talking to the future of the industry. So I definitely want to be able to have, like you said in the beginning, the impact on those students probably 5 years from now when I have a little more experience under my belt. And I want to be able to talk to them about what they can do and their options, because I think that's something that helped me figure out what I wanted to do in life.
That's great. Kathrine, what about you?
So for me, personally, I want to be someone who want to guide someone to think creatively and to try to pick on their brains, like you said, is just to like, what can you make this better? How can you make it new and creative? But also, I want to be known for being cross-culture innovators. I mean, looking at new perspectives, seeing other people's perspective in different countries and globally in a career.
Yeah, that's really so great. And Faith, what about you?
First of all, I relate a lot to what Kasey said. I kind of have a very similar passion for kind of being the support that other people have given me. I want to pay that forward to fellow students in academia down the line. Also, just kind of overall, I want to be known as someone who just loves what she does and is a great resource, and also can makes a positive difference. Like, I want to feel like I contribute something, that I'm making this industry a better one to be in, for not just whatever company I'm at, but for just the general community, because it's been such an amazing community to be a part of. And it's not super related to the career path I want to go down, but I also love art and design, and being known creatively would also be kind of fun. But it's kind of just back to that idea of, I love what I do. I want to continue to love what I do, and I want to continue to grow as a mentor in print in general.
Yes. Let's pretend that there's this person called the industry, right? Let's pretend we're talking to the industry. What can the industry do to support you? I know this wasn't exactly on the list of questions, but I think there's a lot of people that are going to watch this later or are here right now who want to know something they can do, or something they can change, or just an element of, I'm not going to say making it easier on you, but what can the industry do to support you? That's really what I just, and I'll just toss that up to, if you can just raise your hand if you have an answer to that, because I think the industry really wants to know that. Go ahead, Emalyn.
I have two actually. First of all, the industry as a whole, keep an open mind. A lot of people think that Gen Z are the lazy generation, but I think just on this call, we've proved that we are not lazy. We don't want to be stuck at home or stuck in an office. We want to go, we want to do, we want to try, and we want to be there. So definitely have an open mind and allow Gen Z to prove themselves. And also, I would say thank you to the industry because, like I said, it has definitely become a home and a safe place almost. The print industry is like no other. So definitely those 2 points.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any words of wisdom for the industry? Go ahead, Kasey.
I think something that is important is honesty. One of my favorite questions to ask anybody in print is, what is the biggest mistake you made and how have you learned from it? Because I take away what they learned from it and I kind of can apply that. Oh, if I see myself in this kind of situation, how can I approach it differently than, say this person or this person? I think it's important for the companies to be honest, or the industry in general, when they mess up, because nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And I think it's
Yes.
important that they open up about small things like that.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. Anybody else have anything they want to add there? Go ahead, Faith.
This also kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but I would definitely say be willing to teach and also willing to learn because I feel like definitely a generation gap in this industry, but I feel like it's something where we all have a lot to learn from each other. So for people hiring, I would definitely recommend like set clear expectations and also be able to give feedback and receive feedback because that's the kind of relationship that really helps everybody thrive, I feel like. And again, just thank you to the industry for like the amazing experience that I've had and hope to continue to have.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Kay, I'd also like you to chime in on this if you have anything you want to add, any words for the industry, anything else you want to say? Looks like Faith lost her lights.
Yeah, or I'm in my lab right now where lights are automatic if they don't see movement.
Well, I am so thankful for the industry. I mean, Kathrine mentioned we just had our career connections, which is like our job fair where we brought in industry leaders and professionals to do like round robin interviews with students. And it was just such a satisfying event to see the students really happy and pleased with what they saw through the industry and their interactions with the industry leaders. And then also the industry, they were so happy to see students that were excited about going into the industry. So I feel like it's just a win-win situation for situations like that where students can interact with industry. And I would just say, just keep on doing what you're doing for the interactions that we have with our program. We have industry come in. I've had several of them come in this semester as guest speakers, like Kasey mentioned. And it's just always so exciting when they can come in and they can bring samples and products and talk about what would you do if you had this product and talk about the solutions that they came up with. It's inspiring to the students to see what's happening in the real world with these products that they're working on in the classroom, but to see the reality of it is very exciting and inspiring. So continuing to do that, I also had like one company, NAVCO shared a template with us so that we could use it in the classroom. So sharing resources that students can use for classroom projects, giving them experiential projects that can teach them what they would be doing if they were working for the company and to kind of test that out in the classroom. So having resources like that, being connected to internship, recruiting events, and also just coming as guest speakers to allow students to meet them and to hear directly, from the industries about what they're doing and what projects they're excited about.
That's so great. Thank you. And Deborah, I'm going to give you, I know there's only 1 minute till the next session, but if you want to pop on and say anything to the students, but I also do just want to say really quickly, the affiliates, the PICAs, the GMAs of the world are really doing, a lot of them are doing really important work connecting students to organizations too. So Deborah, go ahead.
I actually have a question for Kay. Um, do the programs track the students who graduate, whether or not they take jobs in the fields that they've studied, and for a long enough time, if they leave, to find out why maybe they switched industries?
That's a great question. I think we do track, especially from the capstone internship where students end up interning, and then if they end up staying uh, full term, full time after their internships. But as far as later on, if they switch fields, I'm not sure if we are tracking that. I do really think that we need to find out, why they may be leaving or switching careers or companies. Yeah, I'll definitely make a note of that to
Oh,
see.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, and I was thinking Dr. Ralph at Middle Tennessee State does a lot of research in the printing industry. Maybe we could put him on that. That's a really good question. Sorry, go ahead.
um, sorry, Kay, I just want to stay for you for a moment. We had a session before, and I mentioned that when I have visited schools, it is certainly women who are dominant in the classrooms. There's more women in the graphic communications programs than there are guys, and even the students are shaking their heads with that. But when we look at what happens after they graduate, we don't see that same chunk of women coming into the industry. So, do you have thoughts on where that disconnect is and how we on the other side can be better at reaching our hands out and pulling people over?
Yeah, I just had a student who made that observation too, saying, look at the classroom, it's mostly females, but then they're seeing, during plant visits or whatever, and seeing, oh, it's mostly males that are working at these companies. So what is happening? So I'm not sure if it's the company culture thing or if those companies need to have an environment where women feel more comfortable, because I think there's just a lot of the male dominated kind of cliquish culture sometimes. And I think the print industry does have very traditional kind of conservative company cultures, which, there's a lot of pros to that as well with the stability, all of that. But I don't know if that's what this generation is looking for. So I don't know if the students have ideas about that too. But yeah, I'm not sure what that disconnect is myself, and why we're not seeing more females ending up in these professions that are so male dominated right now, because I do see mostly females in our classrooms.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Casey, you're actually working without, I'm not specifically talking about the place that you work, but is it your experience of your interactions? Do you see a path for you in the print shops where maybe you see a woman who owns the business, or a woman who's in a very high ranking role that is hiring people and giving people raises? Do you see a path for yourself?
I do. Fortunately, I've been very lucky. The companies that I've worked for, I don't walk into the production room and, not see a single woman, right? Like, it's empowering. I remember when I first walked into AlphaGraphics, there was two other women in the production floor, and I was like, I had like a moment of relief almost, because I was like, okay, it's not, just men. And even I did my first internship at Salem One, there was so many women in production in the office, and it was enlightening to see. So I think I don't really have the perspective of like just seeing, a male dominated print shop, I guess. But for myself, I do see opportunity to grow and to improve my skills, and like you said, get raises and stuff like that.
Yeah. And this is exactly why we talk about visibility all the time. If Now look, it is not up to somebody else to be a beacon for you to have a career. Sometimes you have to be the beacon. Kelly and I have turned into beacons in some way. It wasn't I can't speak for Kelly, but I certainly didn't find that I was going to be in this position. But when you can see, okay, somebody has done it before me, like at least that means that you're not in the front in the jungle with the machete, which is the worst job, right? You're behind that person and you're walking through a clear path because someone else has carved it for you. So I just want to say thank you all for carving paths for the students that will follow. And Kay, thank you so much for your service to the industry and to the world. I agree with Kelly. Teachers should be recognized for all that they do and compensated for all that they do more than others. So thank you guys so much. And Kel, if you're ready, I'm going to bring Emma on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, everyone, so much. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.